Hey, what's up everyone? It's Dr. Lynch. Happy Friday. I am sending this video message out just to give a quick update on level 2. I got a couple emails up to this point and have a few minutes while I'm waiting for a train to arrive, so I thought I would send out this video now. So everyone's completed level 2.1, but notice it's level 2.1. There's a level 2.2 that you're starting as we speak. And so there's a few things that you should expect. So one, everyone has received feedback to the posts themselves that they posted last week. And there's the train over there. All right, not my train though, don't worry. So everyone's received feedback to those posts. So if you didn't get notified through LinkedIn, through Twitter, go check it out because they're there, all right? And I was really impressed with the posting that you did and some of the insights that you had, and I expressed that to you in my feedback. So make sure you check that out. The other thing that folks are asking is about well, how do I know if how I did on everything? The work everyone did was actually really impressive and pretty spot on. So unless there was like a real misstep, you should assume that you are fine, that you received the full 3 points for everything for each of the posts, okay? Otherwise, I would have gotten in touch with you already. There was a couple folks who, misunderstood some things. We'll figure that out one-on-one, that's fine. You will get from me after level 2 closes, which won't be until like next Tuesday, you'll get from me a similar kind of like email that gives you a status update. But you're not gonna get that from me right now just because we're still in level 2 and those take quite a bit of time to put together, and it's because it's a condensed class, it's a little tricky to pull off too regularly. So I hope that makes sense. And if you've got any questions or anything like that, just email me or DM me on Twitter or on LinkedIn or whatever makes sense. That's totally fine. I did want to share too, just in terms of some of the insights and responses, like I found myself saying a few of the same things multiple times. And I'm aware that you're all new teachers, right? So I just wanted to take a couple of the greatest hits from some of my feedback and just make sure that you hear it again, all right? One is this idea that if you're not sure what to do in the classroom, or if you're just trying to come up with new ideas, this is not my train, don't worry. If you're not sure what to do, ask your students. And it doesn't have to be in front of the entire class at once, okay? But take a subgroup of students, take a little breakout group during lunch or after school and ask them the kinds of questions that you're asking me, or 5 local train. The next stop is 3rd Avenue, 149th Street. All right, there it is. But ask your students, they know really well what great teaching looks and feels like. Ask them what kinds of assignments have worked really well for them in the past. Ask them how reading in science is different and similar to reading in other subjects. Pull them aside and ask them. The other thing that I said multiple times was to really think about the way that you design culminating projects for your classes. It's hard to pull off year 1, and that's fine. But most of you are teaching science. Science is a really content-heavy subject, and it can feel it can be suffocating, okay, because the content is so much. But we tend to focus on the content and we tend to focus on the scope and sequence, and we're rushing. Really think about ways that you might be able to design projects that are hands-on, that are engaging, that are fun, and into which you can fold the real content. So a few of you responded with the Moya's, I think it's Moya's, talk about textbooks, right, and disciplinary literacy. You were talking this sounds great, but the textbooks are really hard for my students. And it's yeah, well, textbooks suck. Textbooks have sucked for, decades. So we're not going to change that necessarily. Or can we? For example, and I left this suggestion in a couple of comments, it was well, there's nothing preventing you from designing a project or a series of projects in which students are creating their own textbooks. Why not? What would that take to pull off? Students writing their own textbooks in their own language, but where they, their own dialects, but where they get to describe what scientific concepts are, or they get to create, using free online tools or their own kind of paper-based talent, create visuals and graphs and image. What would it take to put together every year? If you built your curriculum around the students actually creating their own textbooks, you could then use those textbooks in the following years. Similarly with things like screencasts, what does it mean to empower students to create screencasts? Create subgroups. This is our unit. this unit has these like 6 subsections. There's going to be a group per subsection. Each one of you has to come up, has to create a screencast for every core concept or principle or vocabulary word or something like that. They can, and this was something I said over and over and over again, like, and again, it's really hard for science teachers and it's really hard for history teachers in my experience. And this is the thing. The thing is that everyone is telling you it's the content that matters and you got to move through the content, you got to move through the content. I'm here to tell you, like, no, it's not. All right, it is not that simple. All right, and the people who are saying that believe it and they have reasons for saying it, and that's fine. But learning is never covering content. Learning is always uncovering understanding. Let me say that again. Learning is never covering content. Learning is always, always, always uncovering understanding. So the challenge for new teachers, old teachers, like the challenge is like, how do I create these experiences for students to uncover understanding? Like, what does that look like? I'll tell you right now, it's got to be real, it's got to be authentic, it's got to be engaging, it's got to be hands-on, it's got to be a lot of the stuff Mike Rose talked about. It's got to be all those things. And the only thing in your way between doing that and maybe where you're at right now, the only thing in your way is your own creativity and your own willingness to step out of the box for a second and to understand that the people telling you, shouting at you that it's about the standards and it's about Danielson and all that stuff matters. Yes, but none of that stuff comes first. What comes first is imagination. What comes first is inspiration. What comes first is thinking about your students and being like, yo, we're gonna have an awesome time here. Like, we are gonna have an awesome time. And then allow yourself to imagine things as otherwise. Allow yourself to think beyond covering content and start focusing on uncovering understanding. All right. So thanks very much for everything. Hope that all makes sense. If you have any questions, you can shoot me an email, a DM. I'm loving the class. I hope you are too. If you have any suggestions, let me know. Otherwise, I'll see you online because my train, oh, there it is. There it is. All right, my train's coming. All right, thanks very much, folks. Talk to you later. Bye.